My name's Garrett Russel, and I'm from a band called Silent Planet, and you're listening to HeartSupport. We're playing this song on this tour that is more of a recent addition to our set, purely because, we try to stay involved with people on social media and see what they're saying. And a lot of folks have been talking about a song on our record called Nervosa. I had these words written from this therapy experience, and after listening to the song enough, I realized that it evoked a lot of similar emotions. Before doing this full time, I was a therapist for college students. One of the students who I met with during that time inspired me to write down some thoughts and some ideas, because I encountered sort of a whole new issue of the psyche, which was a combination of self-harm and anorexia. We uncovered a lot going back to her family situation. I was really horrified to see how in this person's life there had been a combination of sort of society pressure and who she thought God was, and God being a guy, sort of. And whether it was due to things she was explicitly told or things that she sort of implicitly was interfacing with, things that more or less suggested by her culture. She had sort of come to this place where everything about her body was very displaced from her. This could be my bias, but I really felt like she was inhabiting this body that was flawed because she was a woman, that was flawed because she wasn't a billboard-looking photoshopped female, and because she wanted to take back the control in her life that had been stripped from her in various ways through abusive relationships. And as I started working with her, I started having these kind of oh shit moments where I was like, I think that I've dated someone in her situation before, and I started to realize how much I'd been blind to, not willingly. I think, and maybe I'm trying to make myself feel good, I like to think that I would care enough to actually notice and to speak into that, but that I'd been blind to it because it hadn't been my experience. And I think we're naturally, I don't know if I'd say narcissistic, but we're kind of creatures of habit and of tunnel vision, and none of that she'd gone through had been anything like my experience, being this athletic male guy who can eat or not eat doesn't really matter. I feel like I've always been in a place where people have just sort of celebrated me regardless of if I was in control of things or not. In that way, I've been privileged, and because of that, I think I've been blind to this thing that happens. Once things are humanized, I think for most people things have to change. That's not for everybody, but I think that most of us have that degree of empathy that at least our disposition will change. And so with this young lady, it changed everything. That eating disorders and self-harm no longer seemed to be yeah, that's another thing, but that became the thing for me, and probably the most of all the songs on the record that I really dug in to that. But anyways, in the world of therapy, you give to this person and then you don't see them anymore. And so I hadn't seen this young lady, but I had these kind of collections of things I'd written, and I had this music, so we really threw ourselves into that song Nervosa. And I'm kind of convinced that's part of the reason why people are connecting with this song. And because self-harm and eating disorders affect so many people. And when I tell people on stage what that song Nervosa is about, more people come up to me about that than probably anything else. It's kind of neck and neck with Panic Root. People come up to me who have served in the military, and people come up to me who have cuts on their arms or who have gone through eating disorders. We've made it possible for people to be at odds with food, enemies with food. And I think that food, in my faith of Christianity, food is that point at which the whole faith comes out of, the Christ that I follow established the church and everything within take my body, take my blood, and made things so physical, and made it a faith where we can connect with food and we can worship with how we eat. And I'm convinced that there's something very evil that makes somebody believe like your eating's wrong. And I like to tell people at shows, like, no, your eating can be worship. Like you're eating and choosing to eat, like you're joining the tradition of all humans who have gone before you and saying like, I need this. And no matter how like rich or how cool or whatever I am, we all need sustenance, and that's good. That's my encounter with eating disorders and self-harm. It's a little bit personal and a lot loving someone, watching them go through that.